There is no hood like parenthood. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm a former CNN journalist, mom of 3, including twins, and host of That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast. Now, if I had $1 every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my show, I interview change makers on their life lessons, legacy, and superpower of intuition, which I call our Mom Sense and Dad Sense. I've had the privilege of working with Mom 2.0, March of Dimes, and the White House, and have had some pretty amazing parents on my show.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kelly Rowland.
Hi, this is Chelsea Clinton.
It's me, Bobby Brown. Can't wait to share my story.
That's Total Mom Sense is a production of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. To join my tribe, visit that'stotalmomsense.com and follow me on Instagram at Kanika Chadda Gupta. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to Food for Thought, a special podcast series on That's Total Mom Sense, presented by First Water by Akvile, mineral-rich Nordic spring water made for new moms and babies. I'm your host, Kanika Chadda Gupta, journalist and mom of 3, including twins. In this series, we're speaking with doctors, experts, and healers who are helping us reclaim our kitchens as places of nourishment, empowerment, and joy. We'll be answering your questions around what should you buy organic, tonics to help you cleanse your system in the morning, spices you should use on the regular, what to eat when you're traveling and on the go, what to eat in your 20s versus menopause, specialized teas to perk you up and wind you down, and must-haves in your kitchen. This is Food for Thought. Bon appetit! To celebrate Breastfeeding Awareness Month, and with this summer heat, this episode is brought to you by First Water by Akvile, the first naturally mineral-rich, never-filtered bottled water in the U.S. that's certified safe for infants under 6 months when mixed with formula. Founded by a mom of 3, Aiste Miliute, First Water follows European postpartum practices where nursing water is essential. As many new moms know, breastfeeding uses up to 25% of the body's energy, and staying hydrated is critical. But most bottled waters are filtered or purified, stripping away the very electrolytes and minerals your body needs to recover and thrive. First Water is different. Sourced from a unique spring, it retains its natural magnesium, calcium, and electrolytes, has a natural pH of 8, and contains absolutely 0 nitrates or nitrites. That means it supports faster hydration, better oxygen absorption, digestion, and overall wellness for moms, babies, and the entire family. Whether you're mixing formula, nursing around the clock, or simply looking for cleaner hydration, First Water is setting a new gold standard in maternal and infant wellness in the U.S. Learn more at getfirstwater.com. That's spelled get, the number 1, ST, water.com. Because your baby's first water should be the best. Hi, everyone. This is That's Total Mom Sense, and you're tuning in to the Food for Thought series. We're going to be talking about all things nutrition and how we should be nourishing our bodies, our gut, our brain health throughout the phases of our life. And I'm so excited to have various experts on to give us all the intel. Today, I have Brigitte Zeitlin joining me on the show. Brigitte is a celebrated women's nutrition coach, registered dietitian, and media personality. She's based in New York City. She has worked with hundreds of clients and has become the go-to coach for them to feel like they can be confident in their bodies, and that too without the dieting and restriction. She's been featured in over 20 national press outlets, including Vogue, Women's Health, and Glamour, to name a few. And she's been a consultant on wellness at Tiffany's, Ferragamo, and Well and Good. Brigitte, welcome to That's Total Mom Sense.
I'm so excited to be here, Kanika. Thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped to talk to your community. It's going to be such a great conversation today.
Yes, yes. And I'm so glad that we met in a very kind of different yet organic way. It was through our friend Noah Lessing. So shout out to her.
Absolutely.
And BNI. And I want to just like start here because it's really interesting and meaningful. BNI is a global networking organization, and I served as its president for one of the Manhattan chapters for like 5 years. And I love how it just allows us to zero in and on our speaking capability and like who we are as business owners. So I would love for you to kick it off with your BNI commercial.
I've been a member of BNI now for 6.5 years. I switch up my commercial a lot, but
Okay.
here's one that I come back to frequently. What's healthier? The waffles or the pancakes, the margarita or the frosé, the French fries or the nachos? I'm Brigitte Zeitlin, registered dietitian nutritionist, and I teach my clients how to eat so that even their indulgences work towards their health goals because I'm here to help you live your healthiest life. So I'm gonna
Oh, I love
go.
that. I love it. That's brilliant. Yes, I mean it's think Toastmakers meets like networking.
Yes.
And I love how we get to meet other professionals in various fields from finance to real estate to wellness. I was actually part of the media, component and digital marketing. And so I had a company called Chronology Agency where we did website building. And so I still remember my tagline was lending a hand to build your digital brand.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to switch it up a bit. Sometimes I throw in like all the foods fit from your kale to your cookies. Like I like to mix it up, but the goal is that enjoying the foods you love and taking care of yourself get to go hand in hand. So how I
Yes.
can help people combine that, like you said, no restrictions, no dieting. So anything that I can do to work that into my messaging in the commercials, on podcasts, like that's the message I want my clients to take home is that you can feel great in your skin without deprivation.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I mean, the word diet does have the word die in it. So we're trying to do living right now and enjoy the
Exactly.
process. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tell us a little bit about your childhood because I know your dad is a surgeon. And so I feel like you were around a lot of, experts and that too in medicine, like from an early age.
So my dad's a general and vascular surgeon. I grew up like in the hospital, right? Like the hospital was his office. So
Yeah.
hospitals don't freak me out. And health was always just like we never like talked about it, but it was kind of baked into everything that we did. I didn't as a kid, I didn't even know what eating habits were. We just like this was how my family ate. My brother and I had dinner together every night, and when my dad would come home, which was much later, we would sit with my parents while they were having dinner, and then Friday nights we would have dinner all together. It was just like there was always my dad, the way he like unwound really was cooking. So he was
Oh,
always cooking. We were always talking about recipes. We were always talking about food. We had whole fresh foods around all the time. The idea of like processed packaged, that was never something that I grew up on. And I would say that my mom always mirrored really healthy relationship with food. There was always one treat in the cabinet, but it was never policed. We could eat whatever we wanted of it whenever we wanted. When we were done with it, then she would buy the next treat. Like there wasn't a tremendous amount going on, but it was never, we just ate whole fresh foods as a family. We talked about food in just a really holistic way. And I think my parents were always like very active. My dad was a big tennis player. My mom loved her aerobics classes because this is the 80s. And
mm-hmm.
and honestly,
Best.
it wasn't until after like college and immediately after college that I like started dieting for the first time on my own and created an unhealthy relationship with food. So
Yeah.
growing up, it was just really like I mirrored what my parents did. And so when I talk to my clients about creating a healthy relationship with food, I always talk about it as being generational because often you inherit your mother's and or your father's, but then you pass it down to your kids or your nieces and nephews. So if you have a healthy relationship with food, you will create more people with healthy relationships with food.
Absolutely. I am so with you. And I think, it's a learning and an unlearning that we do during every kind of decade of our life. I would say.
100%.
And I'm thinking back to like what I used to do in college. I feel like high school, I ate whatever I wanted. I was, dancing. I'm a trained Indian classical dancer. And then there was like track and tennis. And so you're just burning calories left and right. And I guess like metabolically, you want to eat the burgers and fries, it's fine.
Right.
It's totally fine. But then in your 20s and 30s, that's when it catches up with you. Then, when you're entering perimenopause, that completely shifts. So I'm excited to go into what we should be doing in each phase
Absolutely.
and what like deficiencies we might not know, and then it's like filling those gaps with what we need. So tell us if you have like a core philosophy around when we're nourishing ourselves at every stage of life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, again, my core philosophy, the way I practice everything about my nutrition practice and the way I coach my clients is one, all the foods fit. Again, taking care. Because whatever you do, if we're talking about weight loss, whatever you do to lose the weight, you have to stay doing to keep the weight off. If we lose the weight taking out the carbs, then as soon as we put them back in, the weight comes back. So if we can lose the weight eating the carbs and having the chocolate cake that we love, then we can keep the weight off eating the carbs. So eating the foods you love and taking care of yourself go hand in hand. That's pillar number one. And then pillar number two is science-backed nutrition. Because what works for me might not work for you, but there are so many influencers or quote unquote nutritionists that just talk about what worked for them and want everyone else to do what worked for them from a place of authority because it worked for them, but that's not the science. So really, really coming back to what does the science show us and how do I break that down to like for real life tips that you can integrate into your life. And then the third and final pillar really is how can I make you taking care of yourself and like healthier eating habits so easy for you. My clients, like your community, they're busy, they're high achievers, they're on the go, they're juggling a lot of balls in the air. And often as women, taking care of ourselves tends to fall to the wayside while we're trying to take care of everyone and everything else. So if I can make taking care of yourself the lightest of those balls that you're juggling, then you'll be able to do it in a way that feels organic and intuitive and naturally for you for the long term. Because yes, we want to be healthy right now, but really we need to stay healthy. Long-term health is what we're looking for. So the easier it is for you, the longer you'll do it.
Exactly, exactly. And this is not something that is, okay, I got to my weight loss goal, I'm done here.
Right.
You have to make this your lifestyle. And I
Exactly.
think, yeah, when you rewire your brain to, crave things that are good for you and allow yourself the indulgences, then you're good. You're not going to go off kilter. Tell us like what, starting with the Gen Zers, those in their 20s, what are some of the things that they should be like, okay, make sure you have this in your, I'm not going to call it diet, but like meal plans?
Absolutely. So I think in your 20s, really creating a foundation of healthy habits. I can speak for myself. I did my 20s here in New York City. Lots of unhealthy habits, lots of drinking, lots of late nights, lots of running on very, very few hours of sleep, eating out constantly. Like I never cooked, but in your 20s, again, depending on where you're living, you're most likely cooking for yourself for the first time. You're out of college, you don't have the dorm food, you're not on the meal plan, you're not on your parents' meal plan anymore. You're figuring out how to pair meals together. So focusing on creating those like foundational eating habits. So making sure that every meal you have, there's a protein and a produce. Yes, you're going to have the burger and the fries. And the truth is, I want you to have that again in every decade of your life. But if you are able to get in more meals than not, where there's a focus on a protein and a produce, where you're eating throughout the day, not all day grazing, but like consistently, you're having breakfast, you're having a
Right.
lunch, right? You're not working through lunch, you're having dinner. That, and also making sure that you're staying well hydrated. Like those are the two main pillars that I think we could do in our 20s that will set us up for success moving forward.
Yes. I want to actually share a little tidbit. I've had Daphne Oz on the show,
Yeah.
and her first book was called The Dorm Room Diet. And I
Um,
mean, she's, her own wealth of knowledge being Dr. Oz's daughter and also, one of the resident hosts on the Chew when it was on air, and she has 4 kids now, and so
Yeah.
she knows a thing or two about being in the kitchen and cooking, and she loves feeding her family. But yeah, I think, I feel like there are these resources that we can come back to, that we can, if you are in your 20s and listening, you can read, or if you are an empty nester with a 20 something child, just, send that link along, because there are hacks in the dorm room, where, you don't have to live off of, Honey Nut Cheerios all day. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then as you graduate and you're taking care of yourself for the first time, like it's so exciting. And it's like another step in towards adulting, cooking for yourself,
yes.
figuring out like, what do you like to cook? What do you like to eat? It's another way of getting to know yourself, which is what your 20s are all about.
Okay, now let's skip ahead to 30s. I
Fabulous.
love that whole decade. Oh my gosh. It was so, so fun. I feel like
Yeah.
you're still carefree, fancy free, but you're also, given those responsibilities as an adult. What are, some of the things we should think about when we're creating those meal plans?
The baseline for everything, no matter what decade you're in, should be focusing meals around protein and produce. Probably in your 30s, maybe your alcohol consumption is slowing down a little bit from your 20s. So being really conscious about how it affects you the next day, right? Making sure that you're drinking less, or that you're pairing for every like one cocktail or glass of wine, you're having a full glass of water with it, so that you wake up feeling refreshed. There can be such a shift in our energy from our 20s to our 30s because of our lifestyle, but also because our lifestyle is busier, we have more demands at work, right? We've moved up the ladder a little bit. Our friends are in different locations, we're not all in the same place, so we're traveling to meet them. We're starting to be in different stages of life than our friends in our 30s. And so kind of balancing out what your new stage of life looks like through the lens of, am I eating enough vegetables throughout the day? Am I getting protein? Am I staying well hydrated? Do I have a physical movement routine that feels good for me right now? And when I say like, it can always change, but what matters most when it comes to working out and being physically active, which we need more and more as women as we age, do I like to do it? Am I going to wake up early before work to do it?
Yeah.
That's really what I want to see happening in our 30s. So if that's yoga, if that's Pilates, if that's running, if that's a spin class, anything that gets you moving that you enjoy, really figuring that out is crucial. And then making sure that the way you're approaching alcohol in your 30s, because we don't bounce back as quickly in our 20s from it,
Mm-mm.
right?
Mhm.
Is not interfering with that. Like, you're not drinking,
Right.
if 2 glasses of wine is your limit, and then you hit that third, you're not going to make it to your gym class the next morning, then that alcohol is like having an additional sabotage on your day, on
Yeah.
your routine. So being conscious of like, how am I feeling today that I didn't feel before in my 20s? And what do I need to shift? So, and for the most part with my clients, that is creating a movement routine that works for their busy life, their work life. Also checking in on their alcohol intake, because that's a huge shift from our 20s.
Yes, yes. And then let's talk about 40s, 50s, and up. So when you're perimenopausal or in menopause, I know one thing is the strength training. I feel like that's like
Definitely.
crucial. Muscle mass is lost at, that
For
phase of
sure.
life, right?
For sure. For sure. And I think so often in that phase of life, as our estrogen dips, we retain weight more easily.
Mm,
Right? So frequently in the perimenopause phase, you might notice that your diet, and when I say diet, just the foods that make up your life,
yes, yes.
your diet has not changed, but all of a sudden you are 5, 7, maybe 10 pounds heavier, even though your food is exactly the same. So often you think about weight loss for the first time, right? You were in a really good groove, 20s, 30s, everything was fine. You hit 45 and you're retaining some extra weight around the middle. So weight training is super important, but when the mind also thinks about weight loss, frequently we focus on cardio to burn calories, but that's the main difference between like your workout routine in your 30s and in your 40s, 50s and up. Shifting your mindset to focus on resistance training, strength training will help you lose the weight, because you'll build more muscle mass, which we naturally lose as we age, with our shifts in estrogen as well. So focusing on building muscle mass through strength training and resistance training and not focusing as much, not putting all of our attention on cardio, even though we want to lose weight. And when we think losing weight, we think burning calories, we think the spin class, we think running. Those things are fine and great, but like pivoting your mindset a little bit more to the strength training that you mentioned, to the resistance training. 100%.
Yes. Yes. No, that's so true. I mean, we all know there's the 80-20 rule, and like 80% is the nutrition and 20% is the exercise. So nutrition is really important. And it makes me think of like some quote or meme I came across that said that abs are actually made in the kitchen.
Yes.
So it's so great that you can shed light on that. Can you tell us about the produce and protein we
100%.
should be having
Yeah.
on our plate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think also as we get older, there's so much concentration on protein, protein, protein. Yes, it's important. However, having a carb with that protein helps your body break down, absorb, and utilize the protein better, more efficiently. So you're getting more benefit from the protein than if you were under eating the carbs and only focusing on the protein. So carbohydrates, what makes up the carbohydrate family is, yes, all the things that when I say carbs immediately come to your mind. The breads, the grains, the sweet treats too, the cookies, the cakes, right? The bagels, all the sweet and savory grains. Also, though, part of the carb family are vegetables and fruit. If I were to say have a protein and a carb, that might not give you the whole picture of what I want your plate to look like. So I break it down a little bit differently, and I want you to have a protein and a produce. The produce are carbs, so you will still be getting the benefit from the protein by pairing a produce that you get from pairing any carb with the protein. But produce means fruits and veggies. It does not have to be raw. You don't have to go hard on salads all day, every day. If you like salads, fabulous. But it can be cooked. You could do, grilled, sauteed, roasted, baked, steamed. You can have cooked veggies or you can have raw veggies. But making sure that every time you're eating, you're having either one of those produce, either a vegetable or a fruit on that plate, and then you're pairing it with a protein. The proteins are up to you. It could be plant-based, which are fabulous and offer so many health benefits, like edamame, lentils, beans, hummus, nut butter, tofu. You could do all the plant-based proteins. You can also enjoy animal-based proteins, eggs, Greek yogurt, fish, shellfish, chicken, turkey, steak. Any protein that you enjoy, we want to pair these two things together. I do think that a universal truth for most people, certainly most Americans, is we're not eating enough plants. And that would be both the plant proteins, like the edamame, the tofu, the lentils, the beans, the peas, and also in the form of vegetables and fresh fruit. So focusing a little bit more on eating plants. And if you kind of don't really know where you stand right now, because often we think we're eating really healthy, but what we think we're doing and what we're actually doing don't always sync up. It would be a great experiment to keep a food journal for 3 or 4 days. Write down what you ate for breakfast, what you ate for lunch, if you had a snack, dinner, and just say, oh, I actually don't eat as many vegetables as I thought I did in a day. Or actually I overeat veggies and I'm like under eating protein. You might not realize what's happening versus what you think is happening. So start there. And then based on that, you can always 2x the amount of plants that you're eating in your diet, right? Once you know like your baseline, you can double it up. Or maybe if you're very, very low on it, you might need to triple it up. But first, let's find out your baseline, where we're starting from, and then we go from there.
Back to school season is here, which means it's time to label everything. From water bottles to jackets, Name Bubbles makes it easy to keep track of your child's belongings with durable, dishwasher-safe, and laundry-safe labels. My 3 kiddos love choosing their own designs. Think unicorns and dinosaurs and more. And there are packs for daycare, school, sports, and even college. New this season, the custom clothing stamp. It's a quick, no-sew, no-iron solution that works on everything from onesies to swimsuits and lasts for over 40 washes. It's kid safe, customizable, and even comes with refill kits for long-term use. Name Bubbles is mom-owned and proudly made in the USA, helping families stay organized for over 15 years. Check out my podcast interview with the founder, Michelle Brandress from the archives. Visit namebubbles.com and use code MOMSENSE15 to receive 15% off your order. Happy labeling! Well, in an ideal scenario and something that is, very achievable, how many servings of produce should we be having a day and protein?
So generally speaking, because every physical body is different, what your protein needs are going to be based on your current weight and your health goals. If your goal is just like optimal well-being, you're not trying to lose weight or gain muscle, you're just trying to like maintain, promote longevity, energy, and just like feel really good. You want to aim for about 1 gram of protein per kilogram of your body weight. Divide your pounds by 2.2, so you get the amount of kilograms you weigh. If you have different goals, if your goal is more muscle mass or reducing your weight, you might want to aim for 1 to like 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. If you're like, oh, I have so many damn numbers in my brain and in my life, and the idea of tracking and counting and gramming is overwhelming, I hear
Yes.
you, girl. I
Mm-hmm.
feel you. Don't worry about any of that and only focus on making sure that you have protein at every meal and every snack that you eat. If you're having a source of protein on that plate, for the most part, you're good.
Okay, this is going to make me veer off into 2 different talking points. One is that I wish we could commission the USDA to redo their entire food pyramid because it's so misleading. It's completely dated. It's from, the 70s and 80s. And the fact that the base of the pyramid, what they want you to be consuming the most of in a day, 6 to 11 servings of grain, is just false. We shouldn't be doing that. I feel like the produce should be on the bottom and then the grain should be right under the sparingly tip of the pyramid. And it should be produce, protein, grains.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I think when it comes to produce, I'm going to give you 2 different ways to like think about it. If you are someone who loves the numbers, aiming for like 8 to 10 cups a day. And that will
Okay.
be all of it. So the cooked veggies, the raw veggies, the fresh fruit, however much you're having, overall aiming for like 8 to 10 cups total for your day. That could
Okay.
be a lot visually. If you were going to, let's say, Sweet Green and getting like a sweet green salad, that's about like four cups, 4 or 5 cups. So
Wow.
it can feel like a lot to take on. Something else you can do for lunch, for dinner, half the plate should be your vegetables, or if you're having fresh berries with breakfast, whatever we're having, half your plate, think of your produce. And then this other empty half of your plate, cut that in half again. 1/4 should be your protein, and the other quarter should be your, what I call starch, but most people refer to as the carb. So the quinoa,
Yes.
the brown rice, the pasta, the roll, whatever else, that should be 1/4 of the plate. The protein should be 1/4 of the plate. The majority of the plate should be your produce.
And then back to what you said about having protein at every meal. I couldn't agree more. I noticed a major shift in my 30s onwards. I'm 43 now. My trainer had actually told me eat protein at every meal, and it was a protein, fiber, and a fat. But judging from our conversation, I would add to it and make it protein, produce, fiber, fat. So PPFF, even for the snacks. And I feel like it's really easy. So, as an example, one of my go to snacks is hummus, olive oil, and carrots. And so, carrots is the produce. A hummus is the protein, and I guess the
Hello.
fiber gets in both of those, right? You're
Yeah.
getting
So
and then the fat is the healthy fat, the olive oil. So that
absolutely.
little snack covers it all.
Absolutely. So we only find fiber in 3 things. One is whole grains. So the
Mhm.
quinoa, the brown rice,
Yep.
versus the white rice. the other is vegetables, and the other is fruit. So
Yes.
fiber and produce, you're getting both. One of the
Yeah.
main reasons why produce is so powerful and so beneficial for your longevity, your weight goals, your mental clarity, your energy is the amount of fiber they're giving you. So I think it could be a little bit, sometimes it's like fun to play on alliteration. I was an English major back in college.
Yes.
So I loved like protein and produce of it. But essentially it's the same thing, protein and fiber. You're going to get
Yeah.
fiber from whole grains, fruits, and veggies. But because most people aren't eating enough fruits and veggies to begin with, I want more people thinking about getting their fiber from produce,
Yes. Yes.
like your
Absolutely.
carrots, like your carrots.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And you're just hitting all the bases. Like the healthy fat, I
Exactly.
think people forget about. But if you drizzle olive oil on something or have an avocado, or then you're
Yeah,
getting that too. It helps with the digestion and the, microbiome. Like you need that
100%.
too.
And
Yeah.
if you're like me and you like a crunch, a little bit of almonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yes.
flaxseed, hemp seed, chia seeds. You can add pumpkin seeds, give you like a nice crunch. Seeds, nuts, olive oil, avocado, perfection when it comes to the healthy fats.
One thing I did to lose my weight over time, a lot of friends are just like, "Oh my God, what'd you do?" It was intermittent fast, and I found that like this personally has worked for me. And when I break my fast, I'm not very hard and fast about it, where I'm just like, okay, I hit my 16 hours. I just eat when I want to eat when I have a window of time before I start my day, at my laptop or in the studio. But I break my fast with a protein. And oftentimes my go to is eggs. And I feel like if I have a big plate of eggs with veggies. There's this Indian dish. It's called anda burji, which is literally eggs and veggies all mixed together. It's almost like a distressed frittata. There's onions and tomatoes and cilantro if you want, eggs, pepper, salt. And I eat that like a big bowl of that, sometimes with on a bed of spinach. I'm so full till like 4 p.m.
Yes. I
So
love
I
that.
think
I
that
love that.
that's so important. Yeah, and I think one thing that I learned also over time is, we've been tricked like so many times. Marketing and the way that we think of a continental breakfast is so carb heavy. It's the pancakes, the cereal, the waffles, and the bagels. But if you were to eat last night's salmon and a salad in the morning, you would actually have more energy, make that room for the weight loss, and you're not going to crash because you were like carbo loading in the morning.
100%. I strongly believe that there are no breakfast foods and dinner foods. For me and for my clients, what I teach them is that breakfast means your first meal of the day. Dinner means your last meal of the day. It does not mean any food specific thing. So we can have breakfast for dinner, have the eggs for dinner. We could have dinner for breakfast, your example of the salmon, right? Your leftovers, like perfection. There is no breakfast food or dinner food. It just means the time of day that you're eating what. Lunch is the middle meal. Dinner is the final meal. Breakfast is the first meal. I think something that a lot of people get wrong when it comes to weight loss or maintaining their weight loss, they're so focused on what they're taking out and not focused enough on what they're putting in. And focusing on what you're actually eating, one, it's more fun. We come to it from a place of like what I get to eat, not what I'm not eating and avoiding. It's more fun and it's healthier for your mindset. But I want to know what nutrition you're getting. I don't want to know what you're avoiding. What you're actually eating is what's going to affect your health and your health goals. So
Right.
let's focus on what are you eating? Not this laundry list of I don't eat dairy, I don't eat grains, I don't eat this. I don't okay, what are you left with?
Yes.
And I think so many people get caught up in that because that's what all the marketing is about. Don't eat this, make this swap. Like everything is focused on like what to avoid, and so
Right.
few things focus on what to add in. So if where you're currently at, with your weight, with your energy is not where you want to be, don't focus on what you're taking out. Focus on what you're putting in.
Now let's talk about eating on the go. And that means, while we're traveling and, are not at home, we can't make our own lovely home cooked meal and don't want to be like eating all the unhealthy food the entire time. What are some of your tips on eating while away?
First and foremost, focusing on staying well hydrated. So Kanika and I, we're talking a lot. Our mouths are getting dry. You might see us drinking water. It's not because we're thirsty. It's because our mouths are dry. Our bodies rarely feel thirst. What we feel is hunger when we're actually thirsty. So you might look for a snack because you're not drinking enough water, and you're going to give yourself extra food, extra calories when your body is like, no, girl, I just need a sip.
Yes.
So making sure you're drinking water, you're staying really well hydrated, what that will tell you is that when you are feeling hungry, it's a genuine hunger. It's not thirst. So drinking water. And so for you, for one, a really good baseline goal is to drink half your body weight in ounces of water. So aim to do that. So that's number one. It's good for everywhere, but I think so often we forget to do it when we're traveling because we're on the go and we don't want to be looking for a bathroom. But
Right.
Hotel bathrooms are everywhere. They're fabulous. They're clean. You'll be able to find them. Drink your water.
Yes.
Part of traveling is enjoying the indulgences, the cuisine of wherever we are, right? We're in Italy, we're having the pasta. We're in France, we're having the crepes. We're getting down with it. So what I suggest when we're approaching it from a place of not wanting to gain weight while we're traveling, or if you're still working towards losing weight while you're traveling, to make that carby meal your lunch, having the pasta, the pizza for lunch, or the crepe, the croissant for breakfast, having it earlier in the day. You're walking, you're moving, you're helping your body burn through it a little bit. And then dinner, keep dinner to the leaner versions that the country is known for. So the fish and the veggies, right? If you're on the coast, if you're on a beach trip, if you're in France, the steak with the veggies, right? Looking for a protein and produce for dinner, and then having lunch meal be your fun, juicy meal. Something else that happens a lot on vacation that we want to include and have fun with is dessert. Aim to have dessert every day, but just once, right?
Yes.
So just the one time, the one time. So
appropriate and
yeah,
doable.
so 100% have gelato. Maybe you're having gelato right after lunch. Maybe you're having it as your afternoon snack. Maybe you're having it after dinner. Wherever you wish to enjoy it, go for it. But just the one time.
Okay, let's have a fun rapid fire round with you where we get to know a little bit more about your preferences and you as Bridget. Coffee, tea, or matcha?
Matcha.
Mm. Your go-to breakfast in under 5 minutes?
It's switched recently, but my mainstay is 2 tablespoons of almond butter, half a cup of blueberries, a tablespoon of flaxseed, cinnamon mix. It's a deconstructed PB&J. It doesn't look great. It doesn't photograph great, but it tastes delish.
Ooh, you have to send us that recipe.
I will.
Awesome. A snack that feels indulgent, but it's actually healthy.
My current favorite bar, it's called Midday Squares. It's
Mhm.
functional chocolate. It tastes, the one that I'm obsessed with now is their crunchy peanut. It tastes like a Snickers bar, but it's quality ingredients. It hits my chocolate fix, and it's 170 calories, good amount of protein, low in sugar, perfection. Midday Squares.
That's excellent. What is your favorite protein?
Lentils. Lentils are my
Nice.
favorite protein.
That's great. Is there a kitchen gadget that you can't live without?
Yes. My handheld frother. My
Oh,
handheld whisk.
yes. I love that. Foam at home. Um,
Yes.
intermittent fasting, yay or nay?
Nay.
Okay. Smoothies or salads?
Ooh, salads.
All right. And if you could just leave us with one delicious health tip, what would it be?
You are your own special snowflake. your diet should reflect you. You should not be trying to match your diet to your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your best friends, J-Lo, Kim Kardashian, anybody else. It should match you. It should work for you.
Thank you so much, Bridget. This was such a treat, literally.
Thank
Where
you.
can where can the audience find you?
Absolutely. I loved this so much. Thank you for having me, Kanika. So the best place to keep in touch with me is on my Instagram at Brigitte Zeitlin RD. And I look forward to chatting with you. I'm very active in the DMs. Feel free to say hello.
Amazing, amazing. And check out her website too. I feel like that's where you get to know Bridget even more, with the speaking engagements she's done and her story.
Thank you. Yes, that would be
Yes,
great.
yes. We'll put it in the show notes. Thank you so much again. This was so fun.
This was so great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of That's Total Mom Sense. You can listen to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for That's Total Mom Sense. You can learn more about my guests by logging on to www.thatstotalmomsense.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active on social media. My handle is at Kanika Chadda Gupta. And if you have ideas for show topics or guests you can't wait to have on the show, write to me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com. And lastly, please rate, review, and subscribe to That's Total Mom Sense if you haven't already. Thanks for being in my tribe.